Today we're pitting two of ASICS' most buzzworthy shoes head to head, the Novablast 5 and the Superblast 2. If you've been slightly confused by the hype around these shoes, and trust me, there's a lot of hype, then you're not alone. Both promise a bouncy max cushion ride, but which one really fits your running style? In this deep dive review, I'll break down all the aspects of the Novablast 5 and Superblast 2, the design, cushioning, weight, fit, durability, price and overall performance. And by the end, you'll know the key differences and which shoe might be the perfect match for your runs. Let's lace up and get into it. Okay, so first up, the ASICS Novablast 5. This is the latest iteration of the much loved Novablast line, and it's built as a versatile daily trainer with energy to spare. Think of the Novablast 5 as your reliable daily trainer, the shoe you grab for just about everything from easy morning miles to long weekend runs. Now here are its standout features. It's got plush midsole cushioning. The Novablast 5 uses ASICS' new Flight Foam Blast Max midsole. This foam is tuned to be softer yet delivers high energy return with every step. Essentially you get a plush bouncy ride that makes each step feel lively and fun. Now this shoe is stacked, literally. You're sitting on 33.5 millimeters of foam in the front and 41.5 millimeters in the heel, which is near max cushion territory. That means more than enough protection underfoot for long distances. Now, despite all that foam, ASICS kept the weight impressively low at around 250 grams in most men's sizes. That's really the sweet spot for me, and it feels light on the run. The Novablast 5 sports a premium jacketed mesh upper that's breathable and gives a snug yet comfortable fit. The heel collar is nicely padded for a plush feel around your ankle, and the tongue is gusseted so it wraps the midfoot smoothly without sliding around. Underneath you've got ASICS durable AHAR low hardness outsole material, which enhances resistance against wear and tear in key areas. This gives great traction on the roads and even light trails, and it's built to handle hundreds of miles without premature wear. The pair I'm holding has around about 400 miles on them, and they're still going strong. The grip is really solid, though not quite as sticky as the Superblasts. More on that in just a minute. But a shout out really to my fellow eco-conscious runners. ASICS made at least 79% of the Novablast 5's upper from recycled materials. That means this shoe isn't just friendly to your feet, it's a little bit friendlier to the planet as well. And I think the Novablast 5 is best for neutral runners who want a dynamic, fun daily trainer. It shines on that daily mileage, easy runs, and can even handle some tempo paces when you need it. Truly an all-rounder. It's comfortable from 5k jogs to marathon training runs, and in some reviews it's been called the best Novablast yet, thanks to being lighter, more comfortable and more lively than the previous version. In short, the Novablast 5 is that bouncy, cushy workhorse you're going to love for everyday running. But how does it compare to its much pricier sibling? Let's check out the Superblast 2. Okay, now onto the Superblast 2, the shoe that has got just about everybody talking. The Superblast series is like ASICS Super Trainer line, sitting above the Novablast in tech and price. The Superblast 2 is built for performance and speed while still being pretty versatile. If the Novablast is your sort of trusty daily car, then you can think of the Superblast 2 as something more like a high-end sports car, built for thrill and performance. But can you take it out every day? Let's see what it offers first, and then we'll get into that. The Superblast 2 packs two kinds of foam in the midsole. We've got a layer of Flight Foam Turbo combined with Flight Foam Blast Plus Eco. Now, Flight Foam Turbo is the super bouncy, lightweight foam used in ASICS top racing shoes, the Metaspeed series, so you know that this midsole means business, and the result is a springy, responsive ride that comes alive at faster paces. You feel an immediate pop and snappier toe off in the Superblast 2. It's firmer and more kind of rocker driven, giving you a smooth rolling transition at speed. Now the Superblast 2 is about as max cushioned as they come. It boasts a massive 45mm in the heel, dropping to 37mm in the forefoot, giving you the same 8mm drop as the Novablast, but with way more foam underfoot. Now at 45mm high, they are technically illegal for official races due to that stack height, but unless you're keeping up with Kipchoge, I wouldn't worry about that too much. Yet despite all of that extra foam, ASICS have kept this shoe insanely light, again at just a smidge over 250 grams in most men's sizes. Essentially, for such a big shoe, you get ultra lightweight. And when you put it on, you notice the higher platform immediately, but not a weight penalty. It feels a little bit like standing on stilts, but really light, kind of agile stilts. The Superblast 2's upper is a new engineered mesh that strategically varies its weave. It's more structured where you need support, more open where you need a bit of flex or breathability. It's very secure for fast runs. It locks the foot down without loads of bulk. Overall, the upper got more comfortable and breathable in version 2, fixing some of the issues from version 1. You'll find the padding and the tongue are similarly as plush as the Novablast. ASICS gave both shoes comfy gusseted tongues and really well cushioned heel collars. The fit is true to size and quite accommodating in the toe box. It took probably about 20 miles just to kind of stretch out. It's slightly less roomy than the Novablast, but you know, it's no race day kind of squeeze here. It's comfortable even on those long runs. One big advantage of the Superblast 2 is that it has a wider base and a geometry that adds stability and forward propulsion. That wide platform plus the firmer foam means less wobble and more confidence, especially at high speeds or cornering. The Superblast feels noticeably more stable than the softer Novablast, which can have a bit more kind of squish and wobble in the heel. If you're a runner who values that planted feel, then the Superblast 2 delivers on that. The toe spring, that kind of rocker shape, that helps you roll through your stride efficiently, so it kind of wants to go fast. Flip the Superblast over and you'll see ASICS AHAR Plus rubber on the outsole. It's slightly different in that this is a grippier, higher grade rubber compound than the Novablast's outsole, which basically translates to slightly better traction. It's been great on wet roads so far or pushing the pace with confidence. I've been running on lots of miles of the Tarka Trail at the moment, wet slippery tarmac covered in wet leaves, and this outsole has been brilliant. I've put about 100 miles in this pair so far and they're showing only minimal signs of wear. So even though it's pricey, I suspect it's going to last. So I suspect the Superblast 2 is targeted at neutral runners who want a shoe for tempo runs, long runs, and maybe even races. It's a do-it-all performance trainer. It thrives when the stakes are that little bit higher, sort of think chasing a PR, that fast finish long runs, or when you just feel like you want to get some bit of a pop and a bit of spring in your run. Now it can handle easy runs too, but the foam feels just a little bit stiffer underfoot than the Novablast, and it's a shoe that really wants you to go a bit faster, so you might kind of accidentally, subconsciously speed as opposed to taking it easy on a recovery run. In summary, the Superblast 2 is high octane, it's that premium ride. It's got to be one of the top shoes in the ASICS lineup. It's built for speed and distance, yet it's surprisingly versatile. Of course, that comes at a premium price, and we'll get into that in just a moment. But now that we've introduced both shoes, let's compare them head to head in the areas that matter the most. Both of these shoes are max cushioned and bounce-tastic, but the feel of their cushioning differs. The Novablast 5 cushioning is soft, it's comfortable, That's the name of the game really with the Novablast 5. The Flight Foam Blast Max foam in this shoe has a soft kind of sink-in feel on the foot strike that then kind of gives you a kind of fun trampoline-like bounce as it rebounds. On slow jogs or easy runs, the Novablast feels super forgiving. Your feet kind of sinking to the cushion and are protected from impact. And that softness makes it really comfortable for long, easy mileage or recovery days. At slower paces, the Novablast's ride is relaxed and protective, relying on that deep foam compression for comfort. So if you're cruising at a relaxed pace, the Novablast 5 is like running on sort of fluffy clouds. It's definitely energetic enough for some up-tempo work, but it really shines as a plush daily trainer. The Superblast 2, on the other hand, is firmer, it's snappier, and that's how I describe this shoe overall. Don't get me wrong, it's still highly cushioned, you've got loads of foam underfoot, but the combination of foams makes it more responsive and less kind of mushy. On foot strike, you don't feel yourself sinking as much. The midsole stays a bit firmer, and that gives you that kind of quicker rebound and a feeling of continuous momentum. There's a noticeable sort of pop and spring in that toe off that encourages you to pick up the pace. The Superblast 2's ride has a more kind of immediate and more of a sort of touch and spring to it compared to that Novablast. The trade-off is that on a slow, easy run, the Superblast 2 might not compress enough to feel super plush and cushioned, and it might just nudge you into that kind of faster pace that you don't want to be doing on your slower runs. Bottom line, if you prefer a soft, cushioned, easygoing ride, the Novablast 5 delivers that pillowy feel. If you want a more responsive, lively ride that shines when you up the pace, then the Superblast 2 is the one for you. But both can do daily training and tempo runs. It's a difference of really comfort-orientated bounce versus that performance-orientated spring. And despite their differences, both shoes are remarkably versatile for such highly cushioned trainers. In fact, both are happiest in that moderate pace zone. Steady, long runs, marathon pace, sort of tempo work. They aren't track spikes for intervals, nor are they sloggy marshmallows for only slow shuffling. They thrive in that middle to fast pace range. The sweet spot for both of these shoes is cruising from around about kind of zone 2 pace right up to tempo, even some sprints in the Superblast 2. Now, stability can be a concern with these tall, bouncy shoes. Nobody wants to feel kind of wobbly on their run. And here's how they stack up against one another. With its softer foam, the Novablast 5 can have a little bit of that wobble, especially if you're a hill striker or running very slowly. The midsole compresses deeply, so if your form isn't well centered, you might feel a tiny kind of lateral give. It's not unstable per se. I've run in much more unstable shoes, but some motion is noticeable at slower paces or if you have quite uneven footing. Think of it like running on a springy mattress. It's mostly fine, but a little squishy around the edges. For most runners, it's totally okay, but if you have stability needs, just bear that in mind. The Superblast 2, on the other hand, is a much more planted and stable ride. The firmer foam doesn't collapse as much, and the wider base acts kind of like training wheels to keep you balanced. It feels less tippy and much more stable. I noticed on quicker turns or when my form got a bit tired, the Superblast kept me feeling pretty confident and no shaky or wobbly ankles here. That rocker geometry also ensures that you roll forward smoothly without awkward toeing off. Overall, if stability in a neutral shoe is a bit of a concern for you, then the Superblast 2 has the edge here. Additionally, that rocker shape in both shoes helps smooth out the transitions. Surprisingly, weight is not a deciding factor here. Both shoes weigh basically the same, around 250 grams each. They're incredibly light given just how much foam and cushion is packed in, so you're not going to feel weighed down in either shoe. What you will notice more is the size and the bulk of the shoe. The Superblast 2 looks and feels much bigger on foot. It's kind of a monster truck of a shoe in terms of its silhouette. The platform's broader and higher, so some runners with smaller feet or just not used to max cushion shoes might find it a bit clunky at first. It's kind of like wearing platforms or big old moon shoes until you get used to them, and then they feel pretty nimble and light. Now the Novablast 5, whilst also really high stacked, is a bit more compact and nimble feeling. It doesn't stick out as much in the heel or around the forefoot. This can make it feel a touch more precise when changing direction or picking up your cadence. So relatively speaking, the Novablast 5 might suit those who want max cushion without feeling like they're wearing huge platform shoes. In terms of pure comfort on foot though, both uppers are plush and cozy. ASICS really nailed the step-in feel of both of these shoes. Padding around the heel and the tongue and the breathable uppers, I find no major hotspots here in either of these shoes. The toe box in both is generous and pretty foot friendly. In fact, both shoes have roomy, accommodating fits with plenty of wiggle room for your toes. This is great for long run comfort when your feet might just swell a little bit over time. However, the Novablast 5 is slightly roomier overall. If you love a kind of locked in fit and have low volume feet, you might find the Novablast just a bit spacious overall. The Superblast 2, being a performance shoe, has a slightly more typically more secure fit. It's still not race shoe type, but it definitely has less volume than the Novablast 5. I personally enjoyed the true to fit sort of sizes in both, but I definitely noticed the toe box freedom in the Novablast, which is awesome on those long runs where your feet just need a bit more room. Now if we flip these shoes over and compare the outsoles, the Novablast 5 outsole, as mentioned, uses that low hardness rubber in the outsole with a fairly standard coverage pattern. The traction is good on dry and moderately wet roads. The rubber placement and the decoupled groove design also help with a smooth ride. In terms of durability, this rubber holds up really well, and most runners are going to get hundreds of miles out of these without a problem. Now the midsole foam is also quite resilient. Blast foams don't usually pack out quickly, so again you can expect the Novablast 5 to be a long haul companion. It's going to be with you for most of your running miles throughout the year. Now the Superblast 2 uses that AHA Plus rubber. It's a step up in grip, it's a slightly grippier compound, it really does stick, which just is, confidence inspiring. If you're running in the rain on slick surfaces, you're not going to have an issue here. The outsole pattern was also improved in the version 2 of this shoe, and durability wise, the Superblast 2 is pretty excellent as well. The foam in the Superblast also seems to maintain its bounce over many miles, plus no plate means no concerns about that plate durability. So even though you pay more up front, the Superblast 2 should last just as long. Maybe it might go even longer than the Novablast. But in short, both shoes are built to last and can handle a heavy training load. The Superblast 2 grips a bit better. The Novablast though is no slouch, but slightly less tacky. If you often run on slick city streets or even light gravel, then the Superblast 2's outsole might give you more confidence. Alright, now for the pricey elephant in the room. There's a noticeable difference here. ASICS Novablast 5, you're looking at around about £135. This puts it at the sort of top end of the mid-range daily trainers. For the tech and the performance you get, as well as the durability, that's pretty solid value. It's one of the reasons the Novablast lineup has been so popular. You're getting top tier experience without breaking the bank too much. On the other hand, you've got the ASICS Superblast 2. This one's coming in at £200. That is a really premium price tag. This is up there with a few carbon plated trainers now and high-end racers. The question naturally is that extra 65 quid worth it? Now, I was skeptical at first. How could a non-carbon plated shoe be worth £200? But since buying them, I find myself leaning towards the Superblast 2 for most of my runs, and I really look forward to putting them on my feet. The Novablast, sadly, is quietly gathering dust in the corner at the moment. The Superblast 2 just offers marginal gains in energy return. For my feet, the Superblast 2 have been more comfortable. They're a bit more of a specialised tool for serious training and racing. If those things matter to you and you have the budget, it can justify that £200 price tag. Those I know who have bought them really rave about them, and it's become one of their favourite shoes for just about every type of run. However, if you're mostly doing just general training and don't need that extra edge, then the Novablast 5 at £135 is really excellent value, and it's going to handle pretty much everything you can throw at it. It's also a bit more accessible in price and availability than the Superblast 2. It has been quite limited in release. The Novablast also has way more sort of versatility in colours at the moment, so most people are going to find something that suits them. Also, before you buy, just think about and consider your rotation. Some runners use the Superblast 2 alongside a softer, easy day kind of trainer. In the ASICS lineup, that might be the Nimbus or maybe even the Novablast, because the Superblast 2 is just a little bit too firm, a little bit too fast for recovery runs. If you're looking for just one shoe only, then maybe the Novablast is gonna cover those easy days better and can handle just about everything thrown at it too. It's just really marginal, really, where you want that kind of high-end performance and those top speeds and that comfort over the long runs versus a kind of more slightly cheaper do-it-all shoe. Time to answer the big question then: which shoe is right for you? The answer really depends on your running goals, your preferences, and yes, your budget. So I would choose the ASICS Novablast 5 if you want an amazing daily trainer for easy runs, daily miles, and long runs with maximum comfort. The Novablast 5 is perfect for racking up mileage comfortably. It's an energizing cruiser, but also forgiving on tired legs. You might choose this shoe if you prioritize a soft, bouncy ride and don't mind a little extra squish. If you love that kind of trampoline feel and a shoe that feels underfoot even at slow paces, comfortable, more enjoyable for recovery runs or those days when you just want to cruise. Some runners even say the Novablast 5 is a better all-rounder for most amateurs. Also, you might choose this shoe if you've got a bit of a tighter budget at the moment and you just want more sort of bang for your money. At £135, you can get last year's model pretty well reduced. This one's getting reduced, I think, as we speak as well in time for the holidays, coming in at around about 100 quid, maybe even less. Frankly, at those prices, it's a bit of a steal considering you're going to get at least 500 miles out of it. Now then, you're going to choose the Superblast 2 if you're looking for performance and versatility in one, albeit pricey, package. The Superblast 2 can just handle everything that you throw at it, from those tempo runs, the sprints, the fast long runs, and even race day if you don't want a plated shoe. It's ideal for a runner training for a marathon or a half who wants a shoe that can do speed work and long runs alike. It's firmer, it's more responsive, and if you plan to run moderate to fast paces often, then this will be the shoe for you. Or if you hate shoes that feel too mushy, too squishy, and aren't very stable, then you're gonna love this shoe. It's got all the foam, all the cushioning, plus that stable, snappy ride that you don't get in the Novablast 5. If you're still torn as to which shoe's right for you, here's a thought. Really, you can't go wrong with either of these shoes. Both are excellent. Most of these shoes get reviewed at kind of like 9 and 9.5 out of 10 respectively. It kind of comes down to what you really enjoy underfoot. If possible, try them on back to back in a running shoe store. When I did, I felt the Novablast 5 was like a kind of playful bounce. It made me smile on an easy run, whereas the Superblast 2 felt like putting on a turbo booster, and it really made me want to pick up the pace. For the Vegan Runner channel's audience, I suspect many of you value a great daily trainer and might not be racing every weekend, so the Novablast 5 could be the sweet spot for most. It's affordable, it's comfy, and can handle a bit of everything. However, for those who want that next level ride or are maybe eyeing up a race or a PR, the Superblast 2 will not disappoint you. It really can elevate your running experience if you utilise its strength. So which shoe is the winner here? Well, honestly, both of them are great and really big wins for ASICS. For me, if you had to hold a gun to my head and choose one, I would go for the Superblast 2, kind of ignoring the price. But both shoes offer the quality and innovation that you can expect for premium shoes from ASICS. If I had to pick one for myself, I'd go with the Superblast 2. It's just such a fun, springy ride. I just wish the price would come down a bit. It keeps my legs feeling fresh no matter the distance, and I don't have to sell a kidney to buy it, unlike some of the really top tier carbon plated racers. Now, my final advice, match the shoe to your training needs. If you're logging lots of easy miles and want comfort, the Novablast 5 is your pal. If you're gearing up for race-paced training and want a bit more pop, then the Superblast 2 is your rocket shoe. Some of you might even love having both in your rotation. Whichever you choose, you're getting a fun, modern running shoe that's going to put a spring in your step. ASICS really blasted it out of the park with both of these two, so it's a win-win either way, really. Alright, that's it for this in-depth comparison. I hope this has helped you figure out which blast is right for you. Let me know in the comments which one you would pick, or if you've run in them. And if you've enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more shoe reviews and running tips. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy running.